and on top of that, I'm also dealing with a broken family. So I found that really hard, and my way of kind of dealing with it was through binge eating and purging.
Right.
It was about 3 months into it that I realised I had a problem. I tried to talk to a psychologist, but she dug too deep into my business that I was like, I don't want to go there. Like,
what did you expect her to do?
I don't know. I was young. I was 18. I just didn't. I don't know. But I just remember sitting there thinking, I don't know you, and she was just really calm, and I didn't like that. Yeah, I don't know. It was just like I'm going through this
Did
hard
you want
time.
her to hit you? What did
No, but like you're calmly
she's a
asking me
therapist,
these
isn't she?
questions. Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't like. I just remember feeling uncomfortable, not liking it, and it just wasn't my way of dealing with it.
I like how I feel when I come out of the gym. I like how I look when I'm in shape, and all the feeling that comes with it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I like the gym, but a lot of the time it's a chore.
Yeah.
For example, now we're in lockdown, gyms are closed. There's no way on this planet I'm doing fucking burpees in my living room. Just not a chance, right?
Yeah.
Just no way. Is it something that we can get our head around? Can you go from hating it to loving it? Because I think there's a lot of people that don't feel like they do love it like you love it.
I think you can get your head around it. Yeah, I've seen it happen.
There's a lot of people that are out of shape who don't believe they can make a drastic change.
Yeah.
How did you start to make that change?
So I remember signing up to a gym in England, and this is going to sound so silly, but I used to walk to uni out of breath, and I was like, this ain't on. I can't walk to uni.
How far was uni?
Probably like 20 minutes, but like I'd be like, do you know what I mean? It's just I just thought this isn't healthy, so I'd go to the gym. And everyone's going to laugh right now. I'm just prompting everyone. But I used to just do the treadmill for like an hour just to get my body used to it. So I do that. And I remember having a PT come up to me and I was like, listen, what you do on there for an hour is nowhere near burning what you could do over there. And he just pointed like at the weight section.
You ready? Mm-hmm. Okay, we're rolling. Ladies and gents, welcome back to Alpha Male Barbers. My name is Bani Golau, and today I've got Eleni Gostandino in the chair with the barber. Welcome.
Thank you. You said that so Greek. No, I'm not used to it. It's like Eleni Gostandino. It's like proper.
Somebody else, one of the barbers actually, when I was in London, said that to me. He was like, people don't usually say my name like that.
Yeah, I get like Eleni, and I know everyone out there that's called Elena or Eleni who gets me.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Now I've got to say, when people on the phone ask me about, like, you know, somebody will call to ask about your details or something.
Yeah.
I still pronounce my name in Greek.
Do you?
Yeah, because I feel a bit stupid not to.
Yeah, I'm just like Eleni.
Right. We've actually had basically a full-blown podcast before we started filming, so we're warmed up now. It's actually been. When do you reckon was the last time I actually saw you in person?
2000 and...
Oh, you're going to be that specific?
I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if it's before I moved to Cyprus.
No,
or was it after?
No.
I remember dressing up at a Halloween party at Greek school.
Wow. No, I've seen you since then. We'll get into that because I'll link it back. But... give us a little bit of an intro before we get into it. Give us a little bit of an introduction to you.
Okay, so I'm 29 years old. I was born in Birmingham. I'm full Greek Cypriot. Moved to Cyprus when I was 15, lived there for 3 years. My ticket out was university.
What did you study?
At the time it was art and design. I did like a foundation course where it's like a year where you figure out what you want to do in art. You came
back to England from Cyprus to go to uni?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Otherwise you would have stayed there?
Well, my parents were like, stay in Cyprus, you know. It was like,
where were your parents?
The idea was in Cyprus. The idea was stay here, fall in love with a Greek man, have babies and just stay.
Okay.
You know, and I was like, no, I want to go back to England.
Okay.
So that was my ticket out. I studied art and design. I was going to go into jewellery, but that was like forced. It was like the only thing I could see myself doing that would pay.
Okay.
But because it was so forced, I took a year out because I wasn't quite sure what I wanted to do. My parents were getting divorced, so I just needed a year out. And then figured out I wanted to go into hospitality.
Okay.
I fell into hospitality. Just my parents owned a bakery, so I was like working in the bakery, then working in the fish shop, and then it was I got a job in a coffee shop because no office job would take me on because it was like, this girl doesn't know admin, this girl just knows
right,
what can I get for you kind of thing.
Yeah.
So and then from there I worked at Moxall Hall Hotel.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, really nice hotel, small, Greek owned. I got along with the GM, and I remember seeing the event planner, and I used to be the person taking like the food and the drinks. Like,
the waitress.
Yeah. Thanks.
How are you going to sugarcoat that? You're the waitress.
Yeah. Okay. The waitress, the banquet server. I didn't really give it a title. But I was that person.
That's what the title is.
Oh shit.
Right. Yeah.
I think you got me back.
Okay, yeah. I got you back, okay.
Oh shit, okay. Shall we tell everyone?
No, it's fine. Carry on. Jeez.
Okay. What was I saying? Yeah, so I remember seeing the event planner and I was like, I want to be her. So I said to the GM, like, how do I get there? And he was like, go to uni and study hospitality.
Okay.
Anyone that wants to do hospitality, don't go to uni and study it. I wish, it's like university was wicked in the sense where it allowed me to go to America and work there for a year.
Oh, really?
Wicked. Yeah.
I didn't know you did that.
Yeah, it allowed me to kind of be a bit more professional and mature with like a work environment. But I tried so hard and I got a first that every job I've got since, they don't care if I've got a degree.
Yeah, they don't. They
experience.
don't. I say this to people all the time.
Yeah, so personally, any advice I'd give to someone that wants to go into hospitality, firstly, the way COVID's going, don't do it.
Right.
And secondly, just go get work experience. Unless, in my opinion, you're going to do something that you genuinely need the backup of a degree, whether it's law or, like teaching or something like that. Hospitality, it's more the experience. You need to know customer service and things like that. Do you know what I mean? So anyway, I did hospitality for 4 years, graduated, moved to Manchester and worked for Marriott because I worked for Marriott in Birmingham, so they transferred me for a better job. And then through personal problems that I know you're going to touch on later, I needed to get into more of office work. So then I worked at Edgbaston Stadium and did events there, which is where I fell in love with fitness. So I went into bodybuilding. And then I wanted to go into coaching. I used to see my coach and be like, I love what she does. I want to be able to do that for others. But I just couldn't at the time and needed a lot more maturity, knowledge behind me, and experience, I guess. So I competed for 2 years. And then in the meantime of that, I went into sales and events management for a new restaurant in Birmingham. And I'm still there now, currently furloughing.
Okay.
And meanwhile,
you're discreet about where you work, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
just
fine.
don't want to promote them. And I started my own coaching business, which I'm loving. I've got a nice little team underneath me that I help out, and that's something that I want to kind of grow. And
cool.
Over time, it will.
Good. Okay, so when I first started the podcast, my aim was to have different guests, different conversations. I'm very much drawn to people that make a negative into a positive. I'm very drawn to people that, they succeed through, no matter what the obstacles are, they, progress and they make something of themselves. Yeah. And that's basically one of the reasons why I've got you here. I've been following your journey. Yeah, we haven't seen each other for however long, but I've been following your journey, and I always feel like somebody with something to give is always worth having on. So you went from being I don't really like to use the word curvy.
Okay.
Because
we're talking body shape.
Because I think curvy is like, I think a lot of time when people use curvy, it's
big ass, small waist.
No, it's like
big.
Obese.
Yeah.
No, right.
But obese is obese. Obese ain't curvy.
No, but in like the media, they'll be like, curvy whatever.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
you weren't
I was
like
like a size 10.
I
Which
re-
I still am. Actually, that's interesting.
really.
Yeah.
I remember. I think I've seen you since, but I remember I saw you on the beach before you moved back to England. Because I remember speaking to you at the beach, and you were telling me that you were moving back to England.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I never saw you as someone that needed to get in shape. But obviously you've been through, so you had an eating disorder.
Yeah.
You've ended up being a bodybuilder, coach, personal trainer.
Yeah.
You've competed on stage.
Yeah.
What led you through all that to here now? Like,
So
what was the turning point?
So the way it is my mother had an eating disorder. So she was bulimic when I was younger.
Can you tell me what
I didn't
bulimic
know.
is?
Yeah, so bulimia is when you binge eat and then purge. I think everyone has different reasons for it.
As in you throw up?
Yeah.
Right.
That's what purging means.
Okay.
Yeah, just to clarify. So I grew up with my mum having a binge eating problem. So she wasn't bulimic as I was growing up. She would just binge. So my mum was like a size 24. And I would see that and I was like, I don't want that for me. I don't want to. And it's funny because it kind of went that way in a way. But when we moved to Cyprus, the way school was, because you finish school earlier, you finish at like 1:30.
Oh, right.
I would like literally have like breakfast in the morning, go to school, not really eat anything all day, just because it was like I've had breakfast and I finish at lunch, like what am I gonna eat?
Yeah,
do you know
yeah.
what I mean? And then I'd come home and mum would give me like this massive like plate of food and I'd eat it all, and then by the evening like I'd be hungry again, and because my mum was retired, she'd like constantly cook cakes because of the bakery. And a lot of, and like I think with Greeks it's always about your weight. Like when they see, they're like, oh, you put weight on, or, oh, you're losing weight, are you okay? And it's like, just leave the weight alone. Just like, oh, I haven't seen you for ages, how are you? You know, what happened to that conversation? So my eating disorder, like I was always conscious about food and my weight and stuff like that, but it was never a problem up until my parents said that they wanted to divorce. And to me, the family was like all rosy, and it's like a lot of things came out about my parents that I didn't know growing up that hit me hard. Okay. So it's like I was daddy's girl. Just a lot of things that went on between my parents that just really affected me. And because like my sister was in London, so she wasn't around it, whereas I was in Cyprus moving to the UK. So it's like I've been almost, I want to say mollycoddled in a way growing up. Like I grafted, I worked in their bakery, do you know what I mean? You know, I worked in the fish shop, so it's not that I was spoon fed in that respect, but I was mollycoddled where I thought my family was perfect, and I thought life didn't have that many problems in that way, do you know what I mean? Yeah. So I got brought up like that. Then I wasn't really allowed to do much. I had quite strict parents. So then when you move to the UK and they're like, okay, here you go, Eleni, you know, here's a car, there's your uni, find a job or work in the fish shop. And off you go. It was like, Ella, be in there, do you know? And it's like, okay. And on top of that, I'm also dealing with a broken family. So I found that really hard. And my way of kind of dealing with it was through binge eating and purging. It was about 3 months into it that I realised I had a problem, because you're doing it and you're like, hold on a minute, this isn't normal. Like I would spend days doing it. Like, but
you were binge eating, but you weren't big.
No, because I was puking it back up.
So you think you would have been big if you didn't throw it up?
Of course, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, because like as embarrassing as it is, like I would go to like McDonald's and get like a big order, eat it, and then purge it and be like, right, I need to eat again, because all I wanted to do was be sick.
What's the thought process? Because you're
like
eating.
A stress relief. By me being sick was a stress relief.
But why are you eating it in the first place if you're just going to throw it up?
Because the purging part is what it was like. It's like when people cut themselves. Right. Why are you cutting yourself? What's the point? Like, you're just gonna put plaster on it, or like where are you going with that? But it's that pain is like I don't know, because I've never done that, but I'm just trying to
No,
use it as an example.
well,
It's
I think that people that cut themselves is kind of like a cry for help, whereas if somebody,
it's only a cry for help if they cut themselves. Say I did, and I'm sitting there like that. I'm like, hey, you okay? And, like,
right, but
that's
when
me
I'd
asking for
see
attention.
it, a lot of I've seen it on people before, and they haven't got plasters on. But what I'm saying is, like, when you're eating and then throwing up,
Yeah,
that's not out in the open for people to see.
I wasn't doing it for anyone to see.
No, that's
you
what I'm
actually
saying.
end
So when people cut themselves, a lot of the time
Yeah.
it seems like it's a cry for attention, where like a cry for help, whereas you're doing it discreetly.
Yeah, it's well, I think cutting yourself is as well. Like, I had a friend that did it, and I didn't know until we got older, and then she like opened up about it, and I was like, no way, I had no idea, because those that aren't doing it for attention, that genuinely are hurting in
Right.
their own way, cover it with a watch or with long sleeves,
Oh, okay.
or do you get what I mean? And it's not always on your wrist. Sometimes they cut themselves on their legs or
So where was the relief? Was the relief in the eating or the throwing up?
the throwing up.
Okay, but you
Yeah.
felt like you needed to eat all that.
It was like I fell into this habit. Yeah, because when you want to purge, you've got to fill yourself up that much that by bending over and putting your two fingers up your throat is going to bring it all out.
Right.
And it, as sickening as it sounds, that was a stress relief. That was a bad habit that I built up. I allowed to happen without realizing it was happening. And yeah, and I that was kind of like when I'd get it. And the thing is, I had to understand what would trigger me. So first I had to come to terms with what started it all. And then I had to come to terms with what triggered it. So what started it was my parents divorcing and just my situation in life at that time. And then me creating that bad habit, I then allowed other things to trigger me. So it could be, I would have plans with someone to go for food and they'd cancel on me. And where I got so obsessed with what I was going to eat on the menu and everything, them cancel on me made me be like, well, what am I going to eat now? That triggered me, and then that would make me go be sick.
Right. So you were overeating when something would upset you.
To be sick, yeah.
Right. But if you were but you could have a normal day and not do that.
It would be really hard. My day was consumed with what am I going to eat? What am I going to do? What am I going to?
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Okay. So obviously you were a lot worse mentally than you were physically. Like you didn't look to
On the
to
outside,
people. Yeah, you didn't
but
look
on
like
the
you were a
inside,
problem.
I was probably physically. My period stopped. I've got a scar on my knuckles somewhere. I saw it the other day. Because you shove your fingers so far down that my two front teeth would scar.
Oh.
I remember someone being like, "Is that a burnt mark?" And I was like, "No."
Oh,
And I was just like, "Stop asking questions." And
Wow.
then when you purge that hard, I got blood vessels all over my eyes.
Oh,
Yeah,
gosh.
because obviously from the force. You know, when you're sick,
Yeah.
it's like the force.
Wow.
Your throat would always be fully scratched, and then just it would put you off food sometimes. Like I'd have to go like I'd be that bad that I'd just go to bed, try end the day, and then just I'd spend a few days recovering.
Wow.
And then that was when it was really bad.
So were they your worst? They were your worst days.
Yeah. Do you reckon this is bad for anyone eating and watching the podcast? Sorry, guys.
Is what it is.
I was just thinking, what if someone's like eating a sandwich and we just put them off? Go on.
Did you think that was going to be your life forever?
No. I was really close with this one girl at the time, and I was 3 months into being sick, and I remember Googling, like, I don't know, bulimia and symptoms and stuff, and literally when I looked at the symptoms, I was like, oh my God, I tick every box. And that's when I was like, I'm bulimic.
You didn't know that it had a name?
I don't know what I Googled.
Didn't you say like your mum had it? Your mum
yeah,
had
but I didn't know my mum had it at the time when I was bulimic.
Right.
So I only told this friend, I confided in her, and I remember calling her crying, and I was like, oh my God, like, I've just ticked every box, I'm bulimic. And she was like, listen, it's okay, like, we'll get you better, blah, blah, blah. And I remember going to doctors, tried to talk to a psychologist, but she dug too deep into my business that I was like, I don't want to go there. Like,
what did you expect her to do?
I don't know. I was young. I was 18. I just didn't. I don't know. But I just remember sitting there thinking, I don't know you, and she was just really calm, and I didn't like that. Yeah, I don't know. It was just like I'm going through this
Did
hard
you want
time.
her to hit you?
No, but like you're calmly
she's a
asking
therapist,
me these
isn't
questions. Yeah, I don't know. I just didn't like. I just remember feeling uncomfortable, not liking it, and it just wasn't my way of dealing with it. Everyone has their own.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Some people it works for, and some people it doesn't. For me, it didn't. So that was one thing that didn't work. And I just tried loads of different things, and one of them that worked was marking on a calendar with stickers of when I wasn't sick.
Okay.
So it was like, okay, cool. So I've managed to go this week 3 days not doing it.
Wow.
Okay, now I've managed to, and I've got it down to like not doing it more than once a day. And then it got down to, I think once I reached like 100 days, but then something would happen and I'd go back to my old way.
Oh,
Do you know
okay.
what I mean? So, and then that's where I said I went from hospitality and had to go into events that was more admin roles, because I had to leave Moxhill Hall because it was just too much. I couldn't handle being around all the food. It was,
Right.
do you know what I mean? Like, I'd find myself wanting to eat the food and then go to the toilet and be sick because I was,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And especially working banquets and working weddings, that then would remind you of your family. And do you know, it was just
Okay.
like,
It was a vicious cycle.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I had enough respect to sit the general manager down. I told him what was up, and he was just like, okay, like, I respect it, I understand, you know, like, good luck kind of thing. And like America, the only jobs going were front desk and banquets, and I was like, I don't want either. I don't want to do front desk, I don't want to do banquets.
Okay.
So I was lucky enough to get an assistant manager role.
Right.
That was around food, but not where I was serving it, and I was constantly on it.
Yeah,
you know?
it wasn't in your face.
It wasn't in my face all the time.
Right.
Yeah, and then the job I've got now, which is around food, which is more restaurant work, I'm fine.
Doesn't bother you.
No, not
Good.
one bit.
So you've literally
Fully recovered.
Good. There's a lot of people that are out of shape who don't believe they can make a drastic change.
Yeah.
How did you start to make that change?
So initially, I remember signing up to a gym in England, and this is going to sound so silly, but I used to walk to uni out of breath. Sorry.
Sure.
I used to walk to uni out of breath, yeah, and I was like, this ain't on. I can't walk to uni from the bus stop.
How far was uni?
Probably like 20 minutes, but like, I'd be like, do you know what I mean? It's just, I just thought this isn't healthy. So I'd go to the gym, and everyone's going to laugh right now. I'm just prompting everyone, but I used to just do the treadmill for like an hour, just to build up my, like, I don't know what the word is, but yeah, my momentum, I don't know, just to get my body used to it. So I do that, and I remember having a PT come up to me and I was like, listen, what you do on there for an hour is nowhere near burning what you could do over there. And he just pointed like at the weight section, and I was like, no, I was very stubborn. I was like, no, I want to just do this because I know what I came here for, kind of thing. And then
you just wanted to get fitter in the sense of like not out of breath.
Yeah, I wanted to be able to walk up a hill and not be blowing at the top of the hill.
Right,
Do you know
but you had
you
had no desire to alter your physique.
No.
Okay.
It was simply to just get a bit fitter. Even though like now I know ways to get fitter, and it's not on the treadmill for an hour, but at the time that's what you know. Yeah. So it was that, and then it was when I moved to Manchester that it was like, I don't know anyone here. I've only got my job, so let me start going to the gym and let me start kind of working on me mentally and physically, so that it was like my way of trying to get over making myself sick.
Right.
So it was like, if I go work hard in the gym, it was like, you know, if I get up and make myself feel good, I'll start my day off right. I won't be thinking about calories and how I'm gonna, you know, if I start prepping my food, I've got control then of what I'm going to be eating, and that I'm not overeating, I'm not under eating. Okay. And you know, it was like, and it actually helped.
How strict was your like meal prepping back then?
It wasn't that strict. So I was obsessed with peanut butter.
Okay.
So in my house I had peanut butter, and in my office drawer I had peanut butter, and I would pick up both constantly. So that wasn't helpful, but it was just like my little thing. So like I allowed it. Like
it was just that one.
I just loved peanut butter. I loved peanut butter.
You weren't going to like the Mars bars and stuff.
No.
Okay, so that was like your one
like
thing.
Peanut butter was my thing.
Okay.
Yeah, I was known.
But peanut butter's not that bad.
It's very high in fat, and it's very high in calories. But again, my thing then wasn't to lose weight, put weight on. It was like, I just want to feel better.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I just got into, it's like I started slowly incorporating things. So I'd go to the gym, I'd start weight training. I remember not knowing much about the gym, so I started classes just to gain my confidence with knowing people, regular members there, with knowing certain bits in the gym, with knowing certain exercises. So like if I went to a class and they told me to do X, Y, and Z exercise together, then I'd know on my own to do X, Y, and Z together. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I gave them a go. Then I started doing my own thing, started YouTubing how-tos and like different workouts to do together. Then I'd get talking to PTs, and then I'd come back home to Birmingham and I'd like go to a gym there, and then I'd get to know other people. You know, so I started building a bit of a community. And then
but to you at this point, was it still just the thing that you do like everybody else sees the gym?
No, it started to go. I saw changes in my body, and it was like, oh, I like this. You know, my waist is getting smaller. I like this now. Now I want to kind of like understand. I wanted to get stronger. I was, before bodybuilding, I was very much about, I want to lift heavier and heavier.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? I liked challenging myself.
Okay.
Yeah, so I did that, and then people would be like, you're serious? Like, you should really think about bodybuilding. And I was like, do you reckon? Like, okay, let me look into it. So I then started talking to other athletes. I went Body Power Expo and spoke to other people there and watched competitions, looked at different categories.
How were you looking at this point?
I would say probably how you remember me.
At the beach?
Yeah, like my stomach probably wasn't flat.
But then you when I saw you at the beach, obviously you weren't into the gym at that point.
No, but I'm just trying to think. I feel like I just looked normal.
That's how I thought you were.
Yeah. Like, I remember seeing my coach, and she was like, right, get in your brown knickers. And I was like, okay. I took everything off. And she was like, yeah, you're going to be in this category. And I was like, how on earth do you know that? Like, I'm not even in shape right now. But obviously, she's doing her job. And she could tell that I had more
body shape
here, or or that if I dieted down, that my legs would be more prominent, my back would, you know, I don't know. Okay. She had her own way of seeing it.
Right.
And she was right. And and she literally was like, here's your food plan. This is how I want you to train. This is how much water I want you to have. I'll see you next week. I was like, okay. So then it started being every Saturday I'd go in and see her. And it was like every check-in I had with her gave me life. Do you know what I mean? Were
you training every day?
No, I think I was doing 5 to 6 workout, like resistance training, and then cardio. It's like as you get closer to a competition, the cardio kind of increases.
Right.
So and then so I was with her for 18 months, did a few shows.
Wow. How did them shows go?
So she put me on a show prematurely, but I think she was testing me to see how I'd be on stage, because obviously I'm representing her, so in her eyes it was, let's just see how she does. So she put me in a quiet show. I came third, and then I got feedback from judges, and they were like, you need to come in way leaner, like you're holding more fat than we'd like you to for the finals. So that was June, and then all the way in October I competed again at a busier show in Birmingham. It was 19 girls in total, and I came second. Wow. I was really proud of that one. And then I did another show in amongst them and got through to the finals, did the finals and won. Won at the model category, and the athletic category I think I came second or third, I can't remember. And then I had a foot injury and couldn't do the finals for the other one that I did, because that finals was the year after.
Okay.
So it's like because I was dieting that hard for so long, my body just was like, no more, like I'm done.
Yeah,
like, my period had gone. It wouldn't respond to however much cardio was getting thrown at me. I was on such little food that my body wasn't responding. Wow. So I stopped with my coach, and I just built on repairing my eating relationship, because obviously I still had that problem.
You still had the problem?
Still had the problem. I didn't tell my coach because I thought she wouldn't let me go on stage, and I wanted to go on stage.
How do you manage to compete and do all that stuff and have that problem? Because doesn't it?
I actually don't know. I'm really surprised that, touch wood, I'm okay, because I think looking back, what I did to myself. Like, imagine you're doing like 3 hours cardio a day. You're doing resistance training. I was probably on like
3 hours of cardio a day.
It got to a point of that, yeah.
Fuck that.
Trust me, my life was cardio.
Oh.
And I remember one morning waking up, and I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna go and get my steps in. Like, I don't know how I'm going to get up and go for a walk. I had to call in sick.
Jeez.
And I remember telling my coach, she was like, no, next time tell me. Like, I would have given you some oats or something to kind of bring you back. And I was like, I just felt dead. I woke up feeling dead. Yeah, I was.
But when you're dieting and you're the things that you're consuming for a reason. But when you're throwing it back up.
So I wasn't throwing that back up. When you're dieting, you're holding on to every bit of food you can get. What my problem was if I had a craving and really had a craving at the time, I would give in and I would go and eat and then purge it all back up.
Right.
And
okay. So you're trying to balance it out.
Yeah, kind of balance out. So it was like I got my bit of craving.
Right.
And at that point, I kind of used my bulimia. It was just a habit. Nothing would trigger me.
But were you only throwing up the stuff that you just binged on?
Yeah.
Not the other good stuff that you should have been eating anyway?
Well, I don't know. Say my coach would be like, right, tonight, because obviously you're manipulating food. So she could be like, right, we've dieted you down that hard. Let's give you some real good salts and fats and carbs.
Right.
Go get a burger and get all the sides with it. And I'd be like, okay. And I'd go get the burger, get all the sides. And then I'd either feel really guilty and want to get it out, which would completely...
Right. But you were allowed.
Yeah, no, but still, it was like mentally, I'm on such a hard diet. I don't care who's told me I can go eat this burger, but I've gone and eaten it and I feel bloody guilty.
Yeah.
I feel like I've ruined all my progress, so let me just quickly get it out.
Sure,
or it would be, she hasn't told me I can do anything, but I just genuinely am craving like mad. So let me just go eat all the donuts I can and get them out so that I've mentally satisfied myself.
Yeah.
But I've purged it because purging to me now is not, it's a habit that I need to stop, but I don't know how to.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So was it just a case of like, just over time it just slowed down till it stopped? Or was there like a trigger point where it just, you just made that decision and stopped?
In total honesty, if I'm completely honest, I was sick of it. Like it was like, I'm sick of this, I'm so done with it. And it was nowhere, when I was competing, it was nowhere near as regular as it had been.
Okay.
But it was a problem.
Right.
And I met my boyfriend during my last prep, and I remember him being like, oh, you know, I couldn't be with someone who's got an eating disorder and blah blah blah. And I remember him saying that, and I was like, shit, how on earth am I gonna tell?
He just dropped that in with no idea about.
He had no idea that I was bulimic. Okay. And I was like, oh shit, like how do I tell him this? Like, I don't want him to leave me because I've got this problem, like, you know. And because binging and being bulimic, it's secretive, isn't it? You don't do it like if I was to do it now, no way would I eat loads and be like, oh, I'm just going to the toilet. It just doesn't work like that. So he had no idea, and he'd pick up on little things like, say, with my blood blisters around my eyes, or I'd shut off. If I was sick, I'd shut everyone out, and he would, like, the next day be like, what was wrong? Like, couldn't get through to you. And I'd just be like, I was really tired, but really it was because I was sick, and how do I tell him that? Right. So it got to a point where after my last show, we just had like a really deep conversation, and it was one of them moments where I thought, do you know what, I need to be real, I need to tell him, because like, this is one big thing that I'm holding back, that it's a big part of me, I need to tell him. Yeah. So I told him, and he was just really supportive, and he, in his own way, he was like, it needs to stop. If you're serious about me and you, your eating disorder needs to stop. It just has to stop now. Yeah. And I was like, okay. And I guess I kind of needed that authority figure to be like, if I mean enough to you, you need to stop. And I always said to myself, if I was to ever have children and I can't bring them up with this eating disorder, it has to, because it's little things like in the house, I want to have a naughty drawer, I want to be able to let them have crisps and not obsess over it. I want normality kind of thing. And I remember he said that to me in May. Something triggered me in September, and I made myself sick. And I remember hovering over the toilet, and I was just like, Eleni, what are you doing? Like, this isn't you anymore. You know, it's like that realization that the pleasure I used to get wasn't there anymore. Right. It was like,
it was a habit.
Yeah, it was like I'd undone the habit. And I remember telling him, and he was fuming. And then I just thought, and this isn't worth it. Not only did it not satisfy me like it used to, I've also just upset someone that means a lot to me.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? It was like, I felt like pathetic. I was like, what are you doing? This needs to stop. So ever since that day, I haven't been sick. Don't get me wrong, I've had times, no any recently, but like before, where I'd have them thoughts and I'd get upset because I'd be like, why am I still having these thoughts? But I just think anyone who's had kind of a problem, whether it's drinking, binge eating, anorexia or whatever, I think it can always be there.
Yeah,
yeah, I mean?
I've heard that. Yeah,
you just find a way to manage it.
Okay. How do you get through to people that feel like they can't make a change, like mentally? How do you get through to people?
Are we talking clients or are we just talking anyone? Or?
Well, there's a lot of people that will maybe not be in the shape they want to be in, and they'll look at your Instagram and they'll be like, there's no way that could be me.
Yeah, there's a lot of people that think that.
Yeah. How? Because I feel like you gotta really want it, but it doesn't always start out that way. Like, there's a lot of dedication that comes into being in the gym, being in shape, and that scares a lot of people, because people like, firstly, I don't have time. A lot of people feel that way.
Yeah.
A lot of people feel like, yeah, I've worked out a few times in the past and I never really got anywhere. I tried a diet, it didn't work.
Yeah.
How do you change people's minds? Because it's got to be realistic to them, doesn't it? Like, they can't be whatever they are now and then go to how you are overnight. That doesn't happen.
No, it never happened overnight for me. So I get people come to me and they're like, Eleni, I want to hit this weight on the scales. And it's interesting because people that think that, they hold value on that weight, and they're like, when I hit that weight, I'm going to feel confident, I'm going to love myself, I'm going to look amazing, I'm going to wear a bikini and feel like...
But weight's bullshit, isn't it?
Weight's bullshit. And also, you can't hold value on a figure.
Right.
So I've had clients that come to me with that, and then when they hit that figure, they're like, do you know what, Eleni, actually, I'm still not happy. And that's where a lot of people, when they're overweight, they're overweight for a reason. So they're either not understanding the balance of certain things, so nutrition alongside activity, or they're not, some people genuinely don't understand like what healthy eating is, or they think healthy eating is cooking at home, and it's not.
And it's all salads and
or
vegetables.
they think I'm eating a salad, it's really healthy, but then they put a crap load of olive oil on it, and you're like, well, you've just completely ruined it. Like, you know, they don't have the knowledge of nutrition like that. And a lot of people, a lot of people come to me like, Eleni, I want to get rid of my belly. Like, I've always had this belly, I want to get rid of it. And it's like, you don't drop 4 kilo and lose the belly. Your body might naturally lose it from your legs first. You know, people who are naturally got thin legs and bigger upper body, your body stores it all there. Like, I'm quite fortunate, my body stores it all over, and I end up being quite balanced. You know, it will store a bit on my arms, a bit on my belly, my breasts, my legs, and then I look even still. But everyone's different, and that is down to genetics. So people that want to lose certain parts of their body, you just have to be consistent and lose weight, so that eventually your body has no choice but to remove it from your troubled area, which in this example is your stomach. Right. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's how I kind of like try help and explain it to people. And I do have some people that will come to me and they're like, oh, you know, I feel like you want more, you know, model girls or girls that want to get on stage. And I'm like, no, what I attract is just people that want the results but want them bad enough to go for whatever your result is, that want it bad enough.
There's a lot of dedication. I don't know if I've told this story on the podcast before, but I remember when I was training for my third black belt, I did 6 months of between 5 and 7 days a week of training. So I was training either gym, a run, CrossFit, or jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Between 5 and 7 days a week for 6 months, right?
Yeah.
I didn't really... I might have been eating a bit better, but I wasn't strict on what I was eating.
Yeah.
And I've never, ever in my life had abs
Yeah, and you had
on
abs.
show. No, I didn't have
Oh.
abs. I didn't have abs,
Yeah.
right? And I remember I was running one day and I was thinking, fuck, a black belt, if you consider the fitness and what I needed mentally to get that black belt and the effort I had to do to get that black belt is a lot harder, I believe, than me in my body shape to get a six-pack.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But what I realized was the reason why I got the black belt, the 3 black belts, and never had a six-pack is because I didn't want the six-pack enough.
Yeah.
I wanted the black belts a lot. You couldn't have stopped me from getting the black belt.
Yeah.
But there's got to be a level of dedication that you
100%.
need. And a lot of people, and I say this with a lot of things, a lot of people want it. A lot of people want money. A lot of people want business. A lot of people want fame or whatever it is. But they don't want it enough. And that's why they never get it.
Yeah. And you've got to be consistent. Like, I've had people go, so when I reach my goal, can I just relax? And I'm like, well, no. That's like buying a house and putting down a deposit and then going, do I not have to pay the bill? And well, no, you've got to pay the bill. You've got to keep it. So it's the same. If I stopped today and stopped eating, my meals and stopped training, and I'm my muscles gonna go, and my body's slowly gonna change. You've got to keep on top of it and be consistent. Do
you ease people in the sense of, for me personally, like, because I was always slim as a kid, and up till I was 11 years old, our house was attached to our chip shop.
Yeah.
So I was eating from the chip shop 2-3 times a day.
Yeah.
My mom would make actual food. I just want to eat chips.
Yeah.
Right? But I never used to put weight on, so I could eat whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
And it would have no effect. Whereas everybody else in my family would see the effect if they just ate how I ate.
Yeah.
But to me, it was even now, it's hard for me to be strict on food because for so many years I didn't need to be strict.
Yeah.
Obviously, if I was trying to achieve a certain goal, like to put weight on or to get abs or whatever, I didn't need to be strict. But
yeah, it's like in jiu-jitsu, if they said to you, you're a bit heavy or you're a bit too light for this this competition. That
but I was never competing.
Well, say if you want it, what I'm trying to say is like you would do it because you want that.
Right. Yeah.
So it's down to
but
how much.
What I think worked for me is like principles. So if somebody said to me, okay, for now, this should be the kind of thing that you eat for breakfast. Right.
Yeah.
So it would just be like, I'd be introducing things slowly as opposed to taking me and my bad habits and just saying, right, here's your meal plan now. And it's completely different because I can't maintain that. So when somebody's a lot more out of shape than somebody else, is it best that people should introduce things slowly as opposed to trying to make this drastic change that they're never really going to keep with?
No.
Really?
Yeah. So every single person that comes to me, the process is we firstly have a call. So it's a face-to-face Zoom call. I want to see if you're even fit for my team. When I say fit, I don't mean if you can run 5 miles. I mean as in if you fit my team, if I want to work with you too, because equally... Mentally.
You don't want a quitter. Waste your time.
I just want someone who wants results, because at the end of the day, if we sign up together and you're not bringing... Because I can give you the blueprint, but I need you to do the work. Do you get what I mean? And I can guide you and I can support you and I can help you with motivation. I can provide you a support network with the team. But at the end of the day, if you're not doing what you need to do to get the results, then you're wasting my time and your time and your money.
Do you
know what I mean? So we have that call, and it's my opportunity to tell you how online coaching works, because a lot of people don't get how it works. And then it's also my opportunity to see if I think that you'll fit the program, because some people, might not, like I said to you with my coach, like he might have been like, she doesn't fit what I kind of want in a client, so she needs to go more that way. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
So we have that conversation. Then if they're ready to sign up, then they fill out a question form, which basically goes through and helps me put a plan together for them. So if they're a mum with 3 children and they're in their own business, obviously she's busy, so she needs a kind of plan that is kind of going to give her results and is quick and effective. Do you know what I mean? It's different to someone who, say, works 9 to 5, has weekends free, and lives at home. It's 2 different plans that I'm going to be giving. I need to know if you've got any injuries and tolerances. So we go through all of that. And then when I give you your plan, it's pretty much like I'll run through it with them all. And I'll be like, okay, so with your food, this is how we're going to run through it. You know, you've got these meals. And if the person has a pre-workout, I'll say when they need to have it, why they need to have it in such a time frame before they work out and after the workout and all of that. So I run through it all. And then I do a weekly checkup with them midweek, just like, hey, how's it going? You know, any concerns? That's if they don't. Normally they talk to me quite a bit, but anyone that I haven't heard of because they've just been busy or whatever, or some just like to keep themselves to themselves, then I check in. But then otherwise, once a week, we measure their progress through pictures, some through measurements, some through their weight, and then they'll tell me how their week's gone, and I help them move forwards. Like they could be like, Eleni, you know, I'm going through a really hard time with my family. I'm really struggling to kind of have my mindset right and get these workouts in, and then that's where I'll jump in and I'll help them with that. So any hurdle they come across, I help them.
It's got to be very specific for the individual. You can't just is this a problem with diet? Because someone's basically taking, for example, a t-shirt, no matter what size they're on, they're trying to put it on. Like it can't be a one size fits all type of thing. So
diet plan and training plan, no, but the simple principles, yes. So you need to be consistent, no matter the goal. You've got to be consistent. Like we were talking, whether it's to grow your Instagram page or whether it's to get fit in the gym, you have to be consistent.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's the mindset. So it's I don't know, if it's a girl that's due on her period, she's feeling low and emotional, you've got that for the rest of your life. That's going to be happening every month. So you need to find a way to not let that affect you. You know, if I've got a lad that is dieting, but he's constantly around lads that are eating takeaway, I need to help him take away that emotion with food and be like, let them eat that. They're not the ones with abs in the summer. So you keep doing you and eat your chicken and you stick to what you know. So it's like, in that sense, everyone has to have a strong mindset. Everyone has to have the core principles of, you know, being consistent, sticking to the plan. Because some people, they'll be like, oh, you know, I ate all the food you gave me, I just didn't do the workouts that you told me, but I didn't lose weight. Why? And I'm like, well, if I give you a plan, you've got to do everything on that plan to get the result. Because if you just do half of it, you're going to get half a result. So it's like, that's how I coach people through it. And as the problems or challenges arise, like I had one girl and she was like, I didn't realise I had kind of, not an eating problem, but she had this proper weird relationship with food where she'd have mad cravings and she'd just want to give in. And she was like, I didn't realise that I had a problem. And I was like, well, of course you did, because you were overweight. So there was something with your relationship with food that was causing you to be overweight, and now you're realising it. Now you've lost the 12 kilos. Now you're like, oh shit, I actually had a problem, you know. It's really good to see. And then with that journey comes the confidence, comes the self-love. You know, I see clients go from taking face selfies to body selfies. You know, I see a lot more of their body on Instagram now. You know, they start meeting people, they start feeling better in work and dressing up better, and it's so nice to see that. Do you know?
They've changed as a person.
And then you see someone that wouldn't go on walks that now likes to go running and likes to beat their time every time, and it's that stuff that I'm like, I love that, you know.
My problem has always been that I'll train, but I'd never be strict. I did an 8-week gym and diet plan. September, I think it was.
I think I saw it. Did I see it? The transformation.
Yeah, but then December.
Christmas hit.
No, it was. I'd finished in like November, it must have been, and then we went into a lockdown. So now I had no gym, and then the gyms reopened in December, but then the barber shop reopened, and I knew from December there's no way in hell I'm gonna have time to go to the gym because I was smashing out the hours in here. But my issue is that I'd get really demotivated because I'd get into a shape that I'm happy with, and then I don't know, I'd go on holiday for 2 weeks, and I've trained for 6 months, and now I'll go on holiday for 2 weeks and it's all gone. And it pisses me off so bad. does it constantly have to be an obsession to keep in shape? Because what I realized,
is obsession a bad thing?
No, it's not a bad thing, but it's, for me, when when I did my 6 months of 5 to 7 days a week of training, I found it easier to train the more regularly I trained, because then it just became a habit and a routine. Whereas if you tell me to go to the gym 2-3 times a week, it's harder, because now I'm like, oh fuck it, I'll just do it tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then I don't do it tomorrow, and then I've got to force myself. But the obsession, I think if it fits with your schedule, the problem I had with the 8 weeks I was doing was I never felt like I had time to myself, because what would happen was I'd train and then I'd be at work. Now I don't have I've got hours on the door which I'm meant to do, but I always do more because somebody wants to book in later with me or whatever, and then I'll clean up, cash up, drive half an hour home, and now I've got to train, and then I've got to cook, and I've got to eat, and I've got to clean up, and then do you know, there was only like a certain amount.
I think it depends how I see that as that is my time. Do you know what I mean?
Whereas for me, again, I don't think I loved it.
It's a tick box exercise. It's like
to me, the gym, I like how I feel when I come out of the gym. I like how I look when I'm in shape, and all the feeling that comes with it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I like the gym, but a lot of the time it's a chore.
Yeah.
When I'm kickboxing or doing jiu-jitsu, it's exercise I enjoy.
Yeah.
For example, now we're in lockdown, gyms are closed. There's no way on this planet I'm doing fucking burpees in my living room. Just not a chance, right?
Yeah.
Just no way. Is it something that we can get our head around? Can you go from hating it to loving it? Because I think there's a lot of people that don't feel like they do love it like you love it.
I think you can get your head around it. Yeah, I've seen it happen, because you see the results. So you know it depends. It's like I love going to the gym because I love beating my last session. So I log my workout. So I'll be like, okay, I don't know, I got 80 kilo, 10 reps on squats. I'm gonna try to get 11 reps, or I'm gonna try to get 85 kilo. I'm gonna beat my last, and that it's like I'm literally, it sounds cliche,
you're competing with yourself,
me versus me. And I only ever felt like that ever since I started logging, because before I'd go gym, I'd be like, oh, she's lifting that and she looks smaller than me, I need to lift that. Why am I lifting that? And I can't deal with trying to compare. Like, I hate the comparison.
I find this interesting. So you've basically found a way to
focus on me.
I'd say
when you're a competitive person, like a competitive athlete.
I'd say that you found a way to overcome the obstacles that you've got in your own head. So I will sometimes, if I need to do something, like I'll trick the way that I think about it to do it. So what's an example? Go on. There might have been a time where like I was going to go to the gym and I would do like, I don't know, a push session, a pull session, and a leg session.
Yeah.
Right. But my day off, apart from Sunday, is Monday. So my first day in the gym is
Tuesday.
No, my first day in the gym is Monday, because I'm off on that day.
Okay. Off
right?
Work. Yeah.
I'm off work, right? So if I do legs on Monday, because I'm not really a big fan of training legs. I'll train them, but I'm not a big fan of it. I don't really like squatting, to be honest.
Yeah.
And lunges, fucking hate them. But if I know I've had a long day in the barbershop, and now I know
last thing you're gonna want to do is go
and train legs. But if I trick my brain to say we'll do legs on my day off when I've got more motivation to train, I can do it.
Yeah, if that works for you.
Right. So what I'm saying is, when you started logging your stuff, you found a way to trick your brain to make yourself want to go to the gym, because now you want to compete with your last session.
No, that wasn't a reason. I always want to go to the gym. That's a very deep thought there. Yeah. I always want to go to the gym.
But weren't you given that as an example of why you wanted to keep going?
I had to log my workouts because my new coach was like, log your workouts. So that's pretty much why I started, and I try to get my clients to do it because I can see the benefits of it. So when you're trying to build muscle, you have to progressively overload. So if you don't know what you last lifted, it's hard to remember all your lifts. So if you don't know what you last done, how are you going to know what you need to try and beat this time?
Right.
Do you get what I mean? So when you're in off season, which is what I'm in now, if I'm increasing my food, I want to also see my performance increase, because if it's not, then where's the food going? Like, the food's meant to give me more energy, more strength.
Right.
So by logging it, the ultimate reason why I do that is so that I can go, right, last time Eleni, you hit this, let's try hit this, let's get either more weight on you, or let's get more reps. Either way, let's try beat it. And if I don't, then I'll know why. So it could be that I felt fatigued, it could be that my head
Right.
went in it because I've got so much shit going on, or it could be the fact that I'm in the garden, it's raining and I don't want to do this right now.
Right.
You know. But one way that it helped is I would, some days, not all the time, I would go to the gym and I'd see someone else who might have a smaller frame than me lift more, and I'd be like, what am I doing wrong, or how is she doing that? And everyone's different. Just because like I'm bigger doesn't mean I necessarily am stronger.
Right.
Do you get what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's helped me not even look at anyone else is performing, because I'm so engrossed in what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Obsessed in me and my performance, and that's all I want to know. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think that probably the difference is for you to stick with it, you've got to take it seriously. Because the times when I was training 2-3 times a week, I wasn't taking it seriously. I was just turning up for the sake of turning up, because I feel like I have to turn up.
This is the thing. I speak to a lot of girls and I'm like, you go to the gym, you put in all that hard work, but you're not getting the results because, and you could get the results because of the time you're giving, but you're not knowing how to. So if you just knew how to eat better and when to eat certain foods and how to manipulate certain things, you'd get better results. But then it depends on the goal. I'm looking to get on stage in September. Every session counts. You know, there's another girl that I'm going to stand on stage that's going to go harder, so I need to go ham right now. You know, and that's why it's always down to that. So it's like lately this week I'm struggling because I can only train outside, I can't train in the house. The weather is crap. I train on my own. There's only so much you can be like, yeah, let's go, I'm pumped. No matter how many videos I've watched before I go, no matter how much food I've got in me.
How much Eric Thomas you watch.
Yeah, it can be, do you know what I mean? It can be hard. So it's like, but it's like I've got to push through. So it's like lately, this week, my training hasn't been at its best, but I'm like, do you know what? I'm turning up, I'm getting it done. It's like I'm riding it. You know, some people use that as an excuse. I'm like, oh, I'm not feeling well, or like the weather's a bit crap, let's not do it. It's like, no, let's get it done. Let's just do something.
This is the thing. I think if you've got a goal, it's so much easier. Whereas there's a lot of people that are just like, oh.
Well, that's another thing is we do goal setting. So in their check-in, in the client's check-in, it will say your current goal, short-term goal, your long-term goals. So it's like current goal could be to lose 2 pounds a week. Short-term could be to fit into a size 10 and go on holiday and not care about how I look because I'm so confident. And then long term could be to have a good relationship with food where you're not over obsessing about what you're eating. I don't know, but it's important to set goals, because if you don't have a goal, then what are you working towards?
How strict are the plans in terms of, because if something is too strict, because you've got to bear in mind that when somebody is on one of your plans, they're not going to be with you forever at some stage.
The idea is that they get to a point where they can manage it themselves.
Right, but some things are so strict that when they go on to it on their own, they can't maintain it. Do you consider that that's something that's
strict to you?
Well, this is the thing. I think that everybody's got their different level of strict. Yeah. So do you put that into consideration?
Of course, 100%. Because at the end of the day, no one is a robot. You want to enjoy your food, but then it's like you've got to give. So it's like if someone comes to me going, you know, Eleni, I don't know, like I love eating cereal bars. I love them for breakfast. It's like, okay, cool, forward incorporate it, it's not a problem. Or if it's like, do you know what, Eleni, I've got to cook with the family, like it's really hard if I cook my own meal and the family, like how can I incorporate it? It's like, okay, then cool. So I don't know, you're doing spaghetti bolognese, right, just measure your portion out separately. instead of just doing that in the bowl,
Yeah.
just measure your portion out separately. Cook it with low fat dolmia sauce or whatever. Your beef, use 5% fat.
Right.
It's like we work it
yeah.
out. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like with vegetables, it's educating people. Some people, like I had one client that I was like, okay, what, you know, we're not losing as much weight. What vegetables are you having? And then she was telling me like butternut squash, and I was like, okay, well, that is a carb. It's quite high in calories. We need to focus on our green vegetables. So it's like little things like that, helping them just understand.
When I did my 8-week diet and gym plan, Luga says to me, I said to Luga, listen, one thing that I really, really need is chai. I need tea, right?
Or would that not be okay?
No, because I'm putting, you know,
loads of sugar.
the milk in. I'm putting a teaspoon of honey in there.
Oh yeah, you put honey in your tea.
I used to drink.
That's not a Greek thing, is it? Just a band thing.
Yeah, no, because basically I used to drink a lot of years ago. I used to drink a lot of teas, and I used to have like 3 sugars, and then I cut down to 2 sugars, and then I wanted to cut that down, so I put honey in it. It's the way forward.
Put, cinnamon in it as well.
Sometimes.
You put the whole works in, you did.
Yeah, but so when I was doing this plan, I had to tell my coach that tea is something that, and he was like, maybe. So he told me to have tea with healthy milk, like, you know, almond or non-dairy, and he was like, put sweetener in. Anyway, non-dairy milk for me, dead. Like in my tea, there's no way. So for like, I think it was like 2 weeks, I didn't really have tea. And when, I'm not joking you, when I tell you I wanted to punch everybody in the face, everybody in the face.
Do you reckon you've got an obsession with tea?
Yeah, but this was the thing, like there's certain things that you kind of, you know, you can be strict and say, I'm going to eat this and I'm going to eat that, but there might be a certain thing.
Like, okay, honey, I'd say no. If it depends, so depending on your size, depends on how many calories you can have, right? So if you can afford to have honey in your tea, then I would make it like, right, you're allowed X amount of grams of honey in each cup of tea, and you're allowed so many cups of tea with honey. That's how I would do it. Yeah. But I've had no one come to me with that dilemma. Right. However, when it comes to tea and coffees, I just say, with your coffees and your teas, don't make them milky. So don't be there like, you know, be mindful, because milk is quite high in calories that people don't realise. So I've got one person that we've set aside 250 ml of milk she's allowed a day for her teas and coffees. So we've incorporated things, do you know what I mean? So it just depends on, it's like once you get, so like for me, it doesn't matter how much milk I have in my tea or coffee. Right. That it's not going to affect my stats. To
be fair, Luga did his calculations, and obviously that was just the way that it fell with what we were trying to achieve. I had to be strict with it. Now then, after like 2 weeks, I was like, look, I fucking can't do this. Like, I need tea. And then, you know, we made a few exceptions here and there, but I feel like everything has to be done in a way that you can still do it. The only reason I did them 8 weeks is because I'm a stubborn bastard, and I was like, I'm not going to quit. But I wanted to quit from the first week. Because to me, like I said earlier,
take it you didn't enjoy it.
I tell you the reason I didn't enjoy it was because, again, I was coming home and I was having to cook. I'm not someone that likes to cook. I find it like that's a chore as well.
Did you cook every night?
Yeah, I tried to do it like food prep. Yeah, but then it was taking me like 2-3 hours.
Yeah, but then you haven't got to do it again.
No, I know, but then I was constantly changing, because I was trying to find the way that I'd be most happy. Okay. But because I work so many hours, it was a chore. Whereas there was people that, I don't know, would have a wife at home and she's a stay-at-home mom and she could prep their meals. Well, if I had that, then I'd find it easier. But because I was doing all these things myself, and everything seemed like it was a chore. Yeah. There was nothing wrong with the diet and the plan and everything. It was just, it was me.
It's interesting. Like, I wouldn't give this to a lifestyle client. However, I've had it before where I've had to get to the gym before work. So get to the gym at 6, get to work for 9, and I've got all my meals with me until I leave and go home, which I would normally end the day, say, at 6. And there was mornings where I had to have egg whites, and I would have to boil my eggs, peel them, take the yolk out, and just put the egg whites in the tub and go to work. And imagine you've just trained, you've just done an hour's cardio, and I get to work and that's my first meal.
Right.
It's a load of shit.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it was like, if that's what it takes to get me to my goal, I'm eating the egg whites. It is what it is. I started getting, it's going to sound disgusting, but when you're dieting that hard, it's nice. I would put my protein flavour drops in egg, and I would like scramble it with like broccoli and courgette to bulk it out, because I wanted to see volume. And I'd eat that and it'd be like a sweet egg with broccoli, which sounds vile. Right. But it's like, it's what I had to do to get to where I wanted to get to.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
But I think when you...
But that's like competing, that's like a complete...
But when you know how to cook and you know what works, like I was relying on... I wouldn't eat anything different to what my coach told me to eat, but he's not going to give me a whole restaurant menu of the things I can eat.
See, mine's quite relaxed. So was yours like, I don't know, X amount of grams of chicken, meal one, with X amount of potato? Was it like that?
Yeah.
Okay, so mine's more, there's a lot of variation, so there's less repetitiveness.
But it was weird because I needed something strict.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know, like I remember once I was weighing out my berries, right? And there was like a few extra.
Yeah.
In the tub.
Yeah.
And I said to my brother and my dad, I was like, you don't want these berries? They're like, why don't you just pour them in? I was like, well, because it's...
They're 5 grams more.
Yeah, and my brain works like that. Like it has to be done to a T.
Yeah. And so it should to get
and
results.
That is good in one sense, but it kicked my ass in another sense because then it was quite tough on me.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. But I think when you're coming to get to the goal, you've got to be strict until you get there, and then when you get to where you want to be, it's about understanding how to maintain it.
Yeah.
And then you can incorporate, different things in, and you can be a bit more flexible because you're so consistent. So it's like Christmas. I say to people, if you're consistent 99% of the time, Christmas, eat what you want all day, because it's really not going to make any difference.
I would say from what I've learnt now is that it's a lot easier to stay in shape when you've got a better understanding.
Yeah.
Before that, it's tough.
Yeah.
Because you don't feel like there's all them avenues of, oh, okay, this meal's healthy, but I can still eat it. Yeah. You just think I've just got to eat this.
Yeah, and a lot of people, like, there's like these pictures on Instagram, isn't there, where it's like, people will think, oh, Domino's is so bad, like if I have a Domino's pizza, but then they could eat other, like I say, a salad with loads of dressing on it, loads of seeds on it, loads of avocado, that could more or less be a similar amount of calories to the pizza, but people just associate pizza as bad.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So it's having that knowledge and understanding, or there's people that are trying to lose weight, and so like I had one client, she had porridge for breakfast, and in the group chat she put like, oh guys, I fancy some grapefruit, I'm just gonna have some grapefruit, and then I privately messaged her and said, how much grapefruit are you having? She was like 200 grams worth, and then I sent her and I said, okay, well that's this many calories, that's not on the plan, like you're overeating. This is where we need to be careful. She was like, oh my god, I didn't realize, I just thought fruit was healthy, and I'm like, fruit still has calorie, like this is where people need to understand.
Yeah, it's like sometimes I'd eat porridge, and I can't eat my porridge plain because it's boring.
Yeah, so you have it with like proper milk.
That's not what I was gonna say. That was just a given that I have it with proper milk, of course. But then I'd have like, what I used to do is I used to put like berries in there and raisins in there. But then if I had no berries and raisins, then, now bear in mind, this isn't, well, I guess it was me trying to be a little bit healthy, but I knew once I was doing this I wasn't being healthy.
Yeah.
I'd open the jam and I'd start whacking jam in there.
Yeah, but then there's a Tesco version sugar-free jam that's like
really?
Calories. Yeah, it tastes just as good.
Oh, because Luga told me about, what was it, like the zero sugar ketchup. And it tasted like Heinz, and I was quite impressed.
Okay. But yeah, so there's a lot of like alternatives like that you can do. So it's even like yogurt. If you want to make yogurt taste a bit better but not add any extra calories, you can add in certain flavours in there. Do you know what I mean? That make it taste better than just plain yogurt. Yeah. And there's loads of like when girls have like issues like with their hormones, diets, everything, when girls feel bloatedness or with their skin, like having the right nutrients can honestly make that better. You know, even sleep, that there's so much that goes into it. And that's why I think when you buy these one-off plans online, you've got no guidance with it, you've got no support, you've got no accountability, and that's where having an online coach, because a lot of girls will be like, oh, but I've got a PT.
Tell me some of your personal bests in the gym. This isn't on my notes, but I'm just intrigued. Like, what are you lifting?
You know, it's funny when people are like, oh, what do you bench press? I'm like, oh, it doesn't really matter what I bench press. But
what do you bench press?
I think the most I've done is 20 a size. What's that? 60.
Okay.
That's all right.
Yeah.
Pretty much my body weight.
I don't think I've lifted more than 60 before, so that's what I mean. I ain't a big guy.
But my main thing is squats and hip thrusts. That's the two things I'm always like trying to get better at and do more on and perfect.
What,
so it's
what
like,
do you squat?
I've squatted 100. Yeah. I was really proud of that. But I pulled it back recently to get my depth more, because
I saw you posted about that.
Because it's really, I never really understood it until I did it, and it's like the deeper you go, the more you're targeting your glutes, which is what I want to work on. So it was hard for my ego to pull it back and just start again with the bar and start slowly load it, but I'm glad I did, because now I'm doing like 80 and I'm getting right down. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
I guess I can't even.
No.
Is that okay? Interesting.
Do you front squat, or I've seen you back squat, but do you front squat?
I do front squat. My coach doesn't really like me to front squat, but I like front squatting because.
Isn't front squat the worst thing ever?
For.
Just the worst.
Like,
just feels horrible.
Yeah, well.
When I was at CrossFit, when I was doing CrossFit, like they do both, but when they were doing front squats, I'd never front squatted before.
Yeah.
And I was like, first I felt like my wrists were gonna snap.
Awkward. Well, how'd you hold it like that?
Yeah.
I hold it like that.
Oh, I couldn't do it that way.
No,
I was doing it that way, but I couldn't do it that way either. And then it was in my throat, and I was like,
yeah. And when it's heavy, it's like, ugh. Yeah.
So you can lift so much more on a back squat.
Yeah, but so I was doing back squats. So when I first got my home equipment to train at home, I was doing back squats, and then my back started hurting. So I was like, right, let's flip it around. Let's do front squats to eliminate the pressure on my back. But you can really feel your abs when you do them on the front.
Okay.
But I can't go as heavy on the front as I can on the back. But I forgot what the point was.
You were saying that you squat 100 kilos, which is
I don't know what
crazy.
I think 60 is the most I've done on my front.
Okay.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I think I squatted when I was doing CrossFit. I think I squatted a bit more, but I remember I think the most I squatted on the front was about 55. But I hated it with a passion. Yeah. What'd you hip thrust?
I think the most I've done is 160.
Jeez, I've never done it like with a weight.
Oh, just like nothing, just hip thrust.
Yeah, I've never done it. I've never done it like hip thrust in the gym.
I don't see many men hip thrust. It's many men don't really train legs, though, do they?
I think they do, but maybe not the way girls do, because obviously you guys target the ass a lot more than a guy does.
Than guys do. Yeah, it's like guys. You don't see a lot of guys train chest. It's not a bad thing. I get why.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't like.
You don't train chest.
I do. I train. Well, mine's more. My split's more push pull legs. So push is more like shoulders, chest, rear delts. So I don't go in there and just train chest.
Right. Yeah, it's like, mixed in with everything else.
It's a few exercises.
Yeah. What's future plans? Where are you going from here? Are you gonna end up being in the gym full time, or are you gonna?
I don't know. I don't know because PTing and online coaching are two different things. This is what I was saying. So when I get people come to me, they're like, "Oh, but I've got a PT," and I'm like, "Yeah, but a PT will look after you for that hour or two that they've got you in the gym. But then what about the other hours? Who's there if you're struggling with food prepping? Who's there if you've fallen off plan? Who's there if you missed a meal? Do you know what I mean? Online coaching looks after all of that, as well as your training, whereas a PT doesn't. So that's kind of like the difference when people ask me. But I'm not sure if I it's kind of like I've thought about being a PT, but I don't know yet. I've never really like fully done it. Like I've trained a few people in a gym, and I've done many Zooms since I've started my online coaching. But if I want it to be like one of my main sources of income, I don't know yet.
Okay.
I'm not sure. But future is I want my online to be my main source of income.
Okay.
It's something I've always wanted to do, and I'm finally doing it, and I love it. So that's something I want to do. And I would like to steer away from hospitality and
eventually
be more online coaching.
Is that sooner or later?
Sooner.
As in you want to do it sooner, but do you think it's going to happen sooner or later?
It's one of those, right? It's like I'm scared to leave a secure job for my own thing. And it's like I said to myself, I need to get X amount of clients before I do it, and I'm there, and I'm like, I need a few more before I. And I know I'm going to take the leap at some point.
You've always got to take a risk.
Yeah, but I just think right now where it's so uncertain with times, and I've got that security that isn't costing me a lot of my time. I would be very stupid to just be like, do you know what I mean? So until it becomes a problem where my online coaching is suffering. Do you know what I mean? But if it's getting to the point where my online coaching's so good that I won't even notice whether I'm getting paid by that other job or not, then I feel like that's when.
But sometimes you won't get there until you take that risk, because
that's very true. I've had people say that to me.
You can't put all the effort in.
Yeah, if you don't have that, then you'll be able to put that time that you do put in that into that. True. Yeah, but that's what I mean. Right now, it's not taking much of my time, so it's not an issue. Right.
What advice would you give 18-year-old you?
I would say you're gonna get through it and stay strong, because I remember really struggling when I was 18. And I'm very good at picking up if people have an eating disorder. You just pick up on little things that they do, little habits, and it's like, okay, she's got a problem. And I'm quite passionate about it. So before I started my online coaching, I did start building a bit of a page for people that had eating disorders. But then I found I would rather go into online coaching, and if I come across anyone who's got a severe eating disorder, then I'd help them through it. Right. Rather than just targeting people. I get you. But I've got a true passion for it, because I just think it's a shame how it works, and I think it's hard to fall out. It's hard to come out of it, but it's like there is a way out. Do you know what I mean?
I get you. If you want to get into contact with you, what's the best way? Instagram,
it's literally my full name, so it's Eleni with 2 I's .Constantino, OU on the end.
Yeah, it'll be there. So guys, please follow. The links are in the descriptions. They will be. Subscribe to the YouTube. Tell them subscribe.
Yeah, like, share, comment, tell Bam what you subscribe, tell Bam what you want to find out on his next podcast. Can I just
engage.
Add, thanks for listening and watching.
We appreciate you being here. Thank you for your time. I'm always looking for interesting guests with a different story, so if anybody watching has something to bring to the table, let me know. I appreciate you coming through. I know people telling their personal things is not easy to do in front of a camera, so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Guys, thanks for tuning in. My name is Bandi Golau, Eleni Costandino in the chair with the barber. Stay tuned and you'll see me soon. Yeah.